All right, so now we're just going to transition into Jody's present levels and going over some of her strengths that she has. So some things that really stick out to us is that she's really committed to school, so she hasn't missed any school days this year. She's really engaged in conversation with others when she's interested in the discussion. So she really likes to talk about shopping, sports, we talked about, right, with soccer. And then some things that we've seen in her writing too is that she was really engaged with holidays and cultures. She's a bright woman who excels in her school and money management skills. That's going to be one of the things that she's going to be working on this year, so handling money to hopefully work in her hardware store later on. And then just going on to our current.
So currently Jody is reading at an 8th grade level according to the STAR testing conducted earlier this spring. Here is the form with all of those results if anyone would like to see it. We have realized that Jody struggles with oral comprehension and written expression. This was also found through teacher observation. So here are the notes of, I took kind of record once every 2 weeks, multiple times throughout the day of what she was working on. And I noticed that she was struggling with the oral comprehension and the written expression. So these are the notes right here as well. And then from the assessments given throughout the year, we have observed that she is performing below grade level when it comes to reading comprehension. That is tested through multiple choice questions and short response on exams. And because of this, Jody doesn't always understand grade level appropriate texts that are presented to her in the regular education classroom. And when reading texts surrounding sports and holidays, Jody is very engaged and as a result puts more effort into her work. And these are two of her bigger interests in life. And then moving on to writing, I have collected a few writing samples as well. They're available here. She's writing at 7th grade level, and after observing these writing assignments, we can conclude that Jody often copies the text directly rather than summarizing using her own words. Jody struggles with grammar and punctuation, making her writing difficult to understand. Jody becomes upset with others when they suggest revision strategies and new ideas to improve her writing. She is under the assumption that the first draft is the only draft, but that's okay because many students her age are also kind of in that train of thought. So that's something as an English teacher that I'm working to kind of foster a multiple draft environment. And then Jody is much more engaged in the writing process when it is done on a computer rather than pencil and paper. So looking forward to potential assistive technology resources. This is a good starting point for us that I realized in my role. And also when writing on the computer, she likes to find images from the internet to act as illustrations. She's very good at finding pictures that correlate well to what she wants to say and how she wants to express herself.
All right, and then just going on some functional skills that we see. So Jody is still working on engaging in conversation outside of the school setting. Jody will need to interact with many people once she starts working at the local hardware store. So maybe that's something that you can work on at home. You can maybe going into the community when you go to the store, when you go to the restaurant, having her speak up and kind of advocate for herself, order her food, just really getting used to talking to strangers that she's not used to. And then some behaviors too. So during class lectures, Jody has demonstrated the ability to stay on task for periods of time in excess of 10 minutes without redirection. At the beginning of the year, she was barely able to stay on task for more than 3 minutes. So we have seen a little bit of improvement. That's just something that we're going to be working on throughout the school year. If Jody is left unattended, she has a history of easily being drawn off task by others. This affects her academics as she is not able to recall information that is necessary to complete her homework. So when you're not listening in class, you don't hear the directions, you don't hear what your homework is, things like that. When others in the classroom are engaging in poor behavior, Jody chooses not to follow her peers, which is awesome. So that just gives us that positive, she's making positive choices and kind of seeing a maturing, right? That you're not following your peers and getting into trouble. And now we're just going to visit some of our old goals that we have from last year's IEP. So we do have one goal that has been ongoing and is going to stay the same. That is going to be goal number 1. So Jody will work to increase her reading fluency. But we did make a short-term objective, and that one is?
Jody will build upon her knowledge of sight words to help increase reading fluency, just so we can see Jody is able to recognize those high frequency words, thus leading to easier pronunciation in fluency.
Yeah, and just going off of what Mr. said, I think that by working on her fluency, even at home, engaging in the conversation and having her continue a conversation, follow up with a question, follow up with another question, is going to work on those communication skills that she's going to need for the future when she wants to get a job. Our second goal is going to be Jody will use self-advocacy skills to discuss her needs with family and school staff. So that was one of the old ones. So she's already shown that she's proven to open up to her family and to staff members, tell us what she needs, tell us what she needs help with. So our new goal is going to be to add on some advocacy skills and talking to her friends. So you can kind of see how all of this is kind of working together. We're taking different goals and different components and kind of mushing them together to build relatively the same skill, communication, self-advocacy for the future.
And then you said that I had to ask my teachers for my homework when I'm in school.
Yes, for
Or
sure.
when I miss the assignments.
Yeah, unless we'll get bad grades, we'll fall behind, and then we'll be in deeper trouble.
And then just to add on, Jody, with what you were saying, the short-term objective that we kind of identified a little bit here is you'll have an assignment notebook that I know we are not always remembering to fill out every day, but with a little bit of help from teachers at the end of each class, you'll fill out what your assignments were and what needs to get done for the next day of school. And then you'll get that signed off by Miss Maria here at the end of each day. So that will be a way for us to track. Do you think that's something that would work for you? Or do you think there's something we can do better?
Yeah, I guess. Write down my assignments.
Mr. Fred, your father will be able to keep up to with what you're doing in school. He'll be able to see, all right, did you do this? Did you do that? Check it off. If it does get to the point, we can even have, if we're not sure that he's looking at it and being involved in your planning, we can even make it a requirement that you check it and sign it as well, just like I want.
Is that something you're sending home currently? A list of assignments that she has to do?
This is something that we usually, in our current classroom, in my classroom, it's something that's kind of all up to the students, just because they are at the high school level now. But I think in Miss Maria's classroom, there might be a bit more of a structure to the assignment notebooks. So this would be an added resource in my classroom that Jody and I would work together each day to ensure that she's got all her assignments.
So not everyone has to do it, so it's not a requirement, but in order to keep students on task and completing their homework and working towards a good grade, that might be something that has to be in place. And at this point, I think that Jody would benefit from writing everything down and visually seeing everything that she has to do each day. Would that be something that you could do, that you could keep track of,
Yes, sure.
encouraging her to.
I think that's a great idea. What do you think about that idea?
And then also, this is looking a little bit ahead, but with your plans for a job at the hardware store, you have a schedule to also maintain on top of all of your homework and your academic. So really getting in the mindset of using a calendar and scheduling yourself will set you up for success later on in the workforce.
I'm worried about having a job.
That is something that we can discuss.
Where are you worried? What's
Well,
What's
like,
going
I don't
on?
know how I'm gonna be able to get to and from work, like, since my parents work full time, like, how am I gonna get to work if they're both working?
I did see that you had mentioned something about potentially getting a ride with coworkers. And then also, because we are in the Milwaukee area, hopefully we could work with the OT to get on some bus routes and kind of learn how to navigate that a little bit. And maybe we could have Miss Laura here even ride the bus with you the first few weeks. Kind of see how that goes so you can get yourself in a schedule that's pretty easy to follow. And then before we move any further, if we want to just jump into parent concerns.
Yeah, so I wrote down some concerns that I've had, and then I'm gonna let Jody talk after. So you guys discussed the reading, the comprehension, the written expression. The self-advocacy, I'd really like more help with her. I want her to be able to talk to her teachers. You mentioned she gets upset when she turns in her first draft and you want her to do another one.
Yes.
I would like somehow, I don't know how we can work this, that she can feel more comfortable with the teachers, that maybe she'd accept the help. That's something you think would help.
Maybe instead of confronting the teacher, maybe you could say, hey, can you look at this after class and email it back to me, or email me your thoughts, so you're not directly talking to her, if you feel uncomfortable talking to Miss Nancy, you can do it a different way, change up the communication route.
I was also thinking we could kind of do a gradual release of responsibility. So kind of if we take it month by month, in the first week of that month, I'll be kind of touching base with you to ensure that everything's taken care of and that all your needs are being met academically. And then week by week, we can I'll have less responsibility in that role and you'll be taking on a little bit more of that. So by the end of the month, hopefully you'll be engaging in conversation with me when you feel comfortable and in the setting in which you feel comfortable with to talk about all those things. And no need to worry, like a month is just something that I threw out there. We can do it throughout like the rest of next year or the rest of next semester. We will have options when it comes to that.
Right. I feel like one of the biggest things is confidence. When she plays soccer, when she's with her friends, she can talk to anyone, and she's a loud girl. But then when she gets to school, then she quiets down and when she doesn't feel confident. So there's something we do for confidence.
Well, Jody, I guess I'm not sure. So I know you see in this speech. Do you have any concerns with your speech that might make you not want to open up or feel comfortable with?
Well, I don't like reading aloud.
Okay. So that's something, one of our goals with fluency, you're going to build on those sight words. You're going to build on, Emma has a whole list here of things, kind of like working on your voice and, practicing how to speak loud and practicing how to speak low and showing emotions. And that's all something, when I was younger, I didn't like to read out loud either. I didn't like to do presentations, but through experiences and practicing it over and over again, you kind of build that confidence. So it's a work in progress for sure. I mean, you're still in high school.
Still have 2 years.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure you're going to take some other classes next year, maybe like a speech class, maybe another English class, or like American authors where it's going to be required for you to do more presentations. So just building that experience and building that voice to really come out.
But I just want to take business classes.
We can take business classes too, yes. But what if you have a presentation in business class? What if you have to go out
I
and
have to do presentations in business.
well, what if you do a PowerPoint? You're practicing how to make a PowerPoint. What are you gonna do? And you have to present it. But we can definitely, if it comes to the point, we can talk with those general education teachers, make accommodations. Maybe she can do a small presentation with 2 people that you're close with in class. Maybe you can just do the presentation with that teacher. There's different forms of presenting, but you really got to build that experience to figure out. And what was another concern that you had?
Right now, it looks like she has a 2.3 grade point average. How do we get her grades up? She wants to go to college and I'm concerned about
Yeah,
the lower GPA.
I think what we mentioned with that planner, that's really gonna set everything up high. So she should be able to follow her homework by depending on her planner, planning everything out. That should show a huge improvement in her grades. Is she turning it on time? Is she scheduling enough time to work on the assignment, or is she just doing it in 10 minutes?
And from my classroom perspective, I think a lot of it does have to do with the fact that Jody just has other things on her mind, like soccer practice and like talking with friends, which is great. And we're really happy that she does well with that. But also, I think a lot of what gets in the way of getting better grades is just simply completing more, because we do have rubrics that would align with where Jody is at. So it's really just a matter of getting those assignments in. So I think with this plan that we kind of put in place and will put in place, I think it will really set Jody up for success.
And if it's going to be successful, everyone needs to be on board. Not only us, but she has to be on board. You have to be on board to keeping her focused and motivated.
And then in the same sense too, Miss Maria and I, we get busy. We forget at the end of the day. The end of the day is hectic. There might be a few days that we forget to sign off on that planner, and that's on our, that's our error. But hopefully, if this does ever happen, Jody could get to the point where she would be like, hey, I need you to sign this for me. And that would be like a really big step in kind of advocating for herself. So we're throwing a whole other aspect in there. But it is definitely like a gradual stepping stone.
Last IEP meeting, we discussed note-taking and her drawing instead of taking full notes. I've seen her notes lately and they're okay, but I still feel like she's missing a lot. Is there anything we could do besides prompting her to take better notes? Can she record? What can we do besides prompting her to take notes?
For sure. So I also don't want Jody to rely on recording the lectures that are going on, because she should be able to stay on task and stay focused and be able to participate in class.
I can't always write that fast.
No, but you can also ask a peer, someone who sits next to you. We'll talk about it a little bit later in the section of aids and services. So we have her sit closer to the front of the room. I have wrote that, so have Jody sit next to a positive role model when in the classroom to demonstrate how to stay on task. So there are a couple of peers that are around her who are able to stay on task, and we can have a discussion with them too to maybe open up with Jody and encourage her to say, hey, well, hey, did you write this down? Or hey, do you want to see my notes? Communication does go both ways, so I can have a talk with other students to get her more involved. But as far as the recording, we can do the recording. I just don't want you to rely on it. Now that you're going to be going into your junior year.
Well, couldn't they just give me an outline of the notes so I can just fill stuff in?
We can definitely give you an outline. We have a system called Cornell Notes. Have you ever heard of Cornell Notes before? I know some classes use them. So pretty much it's a big old blank and it's divided into 2. So you have your notes section, or I should say the main idea, key idea, and then another area to add on a picture. You could draw a picture on there about what we're talking about. or you can add on some details about that topic. So I like to use it. It doesn't work for everyone though. Not everyone likes to take notes like that. Yeah, we can set you up. I do have 2 other students in the classroom who use it. Maybe do you have anything that you want to do?
I was also thinking what we could do is, again, just always looking towards her being independent and having more responsibility. I would be willing to go through my notes every day and alter them a little bit with a kind of like a fill in the blank aspect to it. So that way, the first few weeks or months, there would be just a few, like 2 or 3 main words that you still have to listen for, and you still have to pay attention to the entire lecture to find them. And then as we move forward, we can kind of add more blanks, and then we'll get to eventually, hopefully, Jody taking notes again.
Miss Jo, do you have any thoughts about the listening device or the recording device?
The district just received information that we do have some assistive technology devices, which I think would be really good for her. They have it in writing, math, reading. So some of the sampling would be for your reading. They have textbooks in audio format. If that would give any help.
Yeah.
So we could try it. Also, there's a student uses a reading pen to have grade level text read aloud. So that might help also. And to assist with fluency, student uses a whisper phone for auditory feedback while reading aloud. So I think some of this assistive technology will be good for you, as well as in writing. And there is some math where students can use different types of equipment to aid them in doing the math problems. Also, if a student wants to, if they want to demonstrate proficiency, they can use text-to-speech to complete research online. Communication, as I was listening to what you were saying about she really doesn't like to give any type of speeches in front of the class. Well, they have different communication devices too. So with the aid of all this new technology, assistive technology, it would be advisable for the teachers to check in the tech center and see what they'd like to check out to experiment, see what works best for them.
Great, thank you. Last thing was just life skills. Talked about riding the bus. That was one of the big ones when she needs to be able to get from place to place. Just had being independent, more confidence, being able to follow planner and schedule. We had discussed that, and social skills is what my concerns are at the moment.
All right. So going back on to the presentation, we can pair you up with someone in the classroom. So we can start really small. We can have her pair up with someone new and work on social skills. Or I shouldn't say, well, yes, social skills, but kind of doing an assignment together with someone, building that confidence, building that ability to speak to someone new. If that's something that you would like to do, we're going to pair with a parent, or not a parent, but a partner in class.
Sure.
Maybe we can alternate to switch it up a little bit, keep it fresh.
Okay.
Would you be willing to work with someone and put your effort? Are you gonna have to do all the work? Give it some more attention.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's nice to work with someone because then you only have to do half of it.
Collaborate to do most of it. To do hopefully the whole thing. Yeah.
I'd like to hear from Jody what she thinks works for her and what does not work
Yeah,
for her. Because
absolutely.
without that information, we're just kind of talking at her.
I think that like in English class, I don't really want to have to like write so much, so that's why I don't usually like to do a draft, like more than one draft. So maybe if we could use the computers when we do writing assignments.
For sure. That is something that I can make.
I think Keeping a calendar of my assignments will probably help. I don't know if I'm gonna see like Miss Maria at the end of the day every day. Maybe I just have my last teacher. Or each teacher in class.
I think even maybe each teacher would probably be a good option, so
Yeah.
then, if you do happen to see Miss Maria at the end of every day, is Miss Maria is not always going to know exactly what you need to do for the next day. So kind of having that touch base with every teacher, would be great, and that's something that Miss Maria, can work on, kind of get that orchestrated and all of the teachers on board.
And then, I can work with this Lord to like find out about the bus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. A big one. Awesome. Is that everything?
So just touching back on Jody's disability. So Jody demonstrates weaknesses in the academic areas of reading comprehension, reading fluency, written expression, and oral language process. These delays, which are brought on by her inability to maintain concentration and focus for extended periods of time, in excess of 10 minutes in large group settings, are impacting her ability to keep pace with peers, complete tasks and assignments independently, read grade level material and directions independently, use the proper mechanics of grammar to express her thoughts and ideas in writing, and at this time participate in an open class discussion. For these reasons, larger passages within her grade level text should be presented to Jody over a long period of time and in smaller chunks than what is typically presented to non-disabled classmates with careful concentration.
Or you said I could start listening to the books online,
Yeah,
right?
so this is pretty much this is what we have, that your ability affects you, or disability affects you. So it affects you not being able to keep on task and not read, having the difficulty with reading complex text. So yes, we just talked about the read aloud books. That will definitely be something that we can think about to keep you on task. One of my favorite techniques to use with complex text is the chunking system. So reading something briefly, or taking a long text and dividing it into shorter pieces, reading it and then discussing it, reading it and discussing it. So that's another option that we have.
And so she would definitely qualify for some of the assisted electronic material because she is unable to decode text at grade level, but can demonstrate comprehension of grade level material after listening to books in audio, digital format, or text read aloud by a person. So I think with this new assistive technology that we've been granted, I think a lot of this will help her. I think she can probably overcome a lot.
Is this gonna be written in her IEP that she's gonna have access to these things?
Oh, definitely.
So I'm really happy that we're able to come together and find a new solution. Lucy and I did not complete the assistive technology form, only because we wanted to see what everyone had to contribute and wanted, or their considerations. So we will go back, we'll figure it out, and we'll add in